Hello, welcome. Let's stitch a raccoon. All right, let's just jump right in. Let's just do this. Okay, so I'm going to start with the eyes and the nose first, just doing some satin stitch. And for these, I just like to have the stitch direction horizontal. When I fill a shape with satin stitch, I like to do like a center stitch first. That kind of helps me establish my stitch direction. It makes it a little easier for me as I go up and down from this point, helping me maintain that horizontal line. If you want, you can also just get in there and use a pen to mark up for yourself. We'll probably do that once we get to our fur. So please refer to the instructions for more information about, what colors I'm using, how many strands of floss I'm using. I'll refer to it some, but I'm afraid if I try to consistently refer to how many plies I'm using, I'm going to say something wrong and then have like a weird inconsistency between the video and the directions. So we're doing both eyes and the nose like this. If you want, you can actually do either 2 layers of satin stitch, or you could do some kind of padding with a different stitch underneath to make the eyes and the nose kind of pop out physically. All right, and then my nose. So I have a brand new camera I am using. I'm focusing on what I'm doing, so I'm not really sure how it is recording, but hopefully it looks amazing. I feel like, I wonder if I could zoom it in. Ooh, look at that. Except now, oh, this is fancy. Oops, if only I wasn't right-handed though. Hopefully my hand isn't getting in the way too much. So after this, I'm going to start doing the fur, but it's a little tricky. I'll leave it up to you whether you want to do your fur first, your fur first, or your plants. For the face, it doesn't matter too much because there's just a tiny bit of a leaf overlapping. But what happens with the body is there's a lot of overlap going on. It's a little fuzzy. Okay, but let me just focus on the face first, since we're here. So we are going to fill these blocks up, and our stitch direction is kind of like away from the nose, like this. Okay. So since I already have the black, I'm just going to keep going with it. So each kind of block is a different color. So down here is white, and then we have black here, white again, Yes. Like, what does a raccoon look like? And then the gray on the top. So I'm going to start with my black, since that's what I have on my needle ready to go. That's what we're zoomed in on here. So I'm just kind of starting with some random stitches, basically. We're going to be filling with split stitch using a single color. You might call it long and short stitch. You might call it just filling with split stitch. I feel like if we just fill with split stitch, that, to me, that sounds more like doing something like this, where I do like a row, or I guess this is a column, right? Because we're going up and down. See what I mean? Like how I'm doing a row up of split stitch. Not very well, but that's what I'm trying to attempt to show you. So then if I just, like, you know, continue to do that, like filling those rows, I'm filling with split stitch, right? So I don't think it's inaccurate to say we're using long and short stitch. But I think a lot of people, when they think of long and short stitch, they think of like multiple colors. And for this base layer, we're kind of treating each section independently. So here's a little tip. So from the back, what I like to do, and you'll want to do this a lot, because fur can be kind of tricky to watch, like, have I filled every little square inch, you know, and there's, if you don't and you have like fabric showing through, sometimes it's hard to know that that's why it looks weird, unless you really get in here to see. But so I'm like kind of pushing up my fabric, and you can see where I have any gaps. See, there's like a little gap there. But when I do this, you can't really see it, right? So try to get in there and fill those in if you can. If you're doubling up on your stitches, like you have a stitch on top of a stitch, that's okay. Like, don't worry about that. Like, I think it's better to do that than to have those gaps. All right, so I'm gonna go to my next row where I'm piercing these stitches and coming up. I'm being very like precise as I start here. So I like to go across like you just saw, and then I kind of come back in and fill in the gaps. If you don't like that, if you want to start at one end and go to the other end and fill every single space, then do that. I find if I do that, my long and short stitch starts to look a little blocky. Okay, I'm trying to, I want to start stitching over here. I'm trying to just focus on this side of the face, so we're not here all day. So it can vary how long those stitches are. Okay, I'm actually going to add a little stitch here because you can kind of see this intersection. So there's like a tiny little bit of fabric showing. I'm just going to add one more stitch to my nose to kind of cover that up. And I'm out of thread, so I'm going to move on to our white so you can see what that's going to look like. So there's just like a tiny bit of white down here. This isn't actually white. If you look at your instructions, it's like a very light gray. can see my purple guidelines have completely disappeared. So I'll actually use just some stitches to remind myself what we're doing here as far as the stitch direction goes. All right. So I'm going like from out in to the nose just because I have more control going down. I can get really close to that nose so that we don't have any gap. If you want, instead of come up at the nose and then go away, that's fine too. You should probably just be consistent with whatever you decide. Well, I'll say it probably doesn't matter. We're making fur here. It's okay if it's not perfectly smooth. I think maybe the most important thing to think about here is just make sure when you go down near the nose that you're being pretty accurate so that we don't lose the shape of the nose. So with all thread painting, there's going to be an awkward stage. If there's anything I can share with you is that that is normal. You're going to look at your piece and be like, oh my God, what? Why? This is horrible. How is this ever going to get fixed? And you just got to keep going and just trust. I mean, this looks awkward right now, right? Maybe. So this line here tells me where I'm going to transition to the black, and it's totally fine to have some white over that line. All right, so I feel like that's my first row. Obviously, this is a much different shape than here, right? This was actually perfect to demo on. So my first row was this, and then I split this row to create this next row. So here, since we're stitching in this direction, my first row is this weird shape, and then my next row is going to be beyond that. So I'm going to split these stitches best I can. Maybe even come between some of them if it looks like I need to. So if this like method of doing a base layer and then coming back to add details on top, if that seems weird to you, that's fine. Don't have to do it this way. You can just use a single strand the whole time if you want. That's also totally fine. See a hole there I needed to fill. It's weird. So when I stitched the sample hoop, I was watching a lot of House, and as I'm stitching this now, I keep thinking about House. It's really funny. Like, I like to just kind of have a background show on that doesn't require too much thinking, where I can definitely miss stuff and, you know, it's okay for the next episode. Like, it really isn't that important. Just something to kind of keep me company. Alright, I'm going to do a little trick from behind and see. I feel like There's a little hole here. And one thing you can do too, I mean, what I like to do at the very end is I come back with a single strand of every color and kind of go in and fill in any gaps I may have missed. And here I'm gonna actually go the opposite direction. This is weird to me. All right, so then, see, next we'll be up here with the white. So I'll just leave that over here for now while I get my black. Okay, so as we do this next little section, so I am gonna split a little bit of my white as I come in here. Just kind of doing my guideline stitches, but I'm not splitting too much because we're actually going to be blending between these two sections with a different color later. So it's more like patches of long and short stitch that touch each other for this base layer. And then we'll worry more about blending later. And part of it is because, well, especially for the face, is like these are these color transitions. It's not like we're trying to create a shadow or doing like subtle fur color changes. I mean, these are like big color patches on the animal, so they shouldn't be like beautifully blended, right? Like that's not what a raccoon looks like. So I am just gonna keep going. Trying to think what else I should demo. So I will, maybe we'll do a little bit of the ear, actually. I'll let you keep watching this for a little bit. Hopefully it won't get too dull. It's always hard to know like what people want to see. Or what teaching moments are going to happen, right? There's some junk from behind. One tricky thing when working with a really dark color and a really light color is sometimes you get fuzz from one color kind of contaminating the other color. I think especially with black. And it's okay to like cut little fuzzies out or use some tweezers to get in there. All right, let's change gears, and we're not done with this, obviously. Let's see, let me go down here because I actually want this color. All right, let me get you guys looking at the ear. All right, so I filled in, I think I actually did the white first. I don't know if it really matters, but so it's a little annoying because of the stitch direction, right? Like, as your fur is going like this. So what I actually did, because that's not what I did, as I look at it, that's not what I did. It looks like I did more of like a base layer first. I mean, down here, this is easier, right? And like I just kind of filled in with some split stitch. I'm just kind of like following the direction of the ear. Well, you guys can actually see what I'm doing better than I can. I just took a peek through the camera. It's pretty amazing. Okay, so I think you get the idea. So I filled the whole ear like this all the way around, and then I came back and added like the fur direction on top. Whoops. We were pretty much out anyways. I have another needle ready. That was dramatic. I have a little knot tied here and it was too small. I was a little worried that I had planned to do this video today, but I've had like a bad sore throat. I was worried that I was getting sick, or it's probably just allergies. But I'm feeling pretty good, so I'm grateful for that. See, I have some of my guidelines showing up here. So make sure it gets covered. This is nice and thick, huh? Luckily, it's the top of the ear, so having it have this extra bulk is fine. Okay, something like this. And then coming in with our stitch direction on top. All these stitches that kind of go back towards the nose. And you can do this with a 2-ply like I'm doing, or a single ply. And it's up to you, like how long you want the stitches to go over. Like if you want them like way above the ear to make the ear look fluffier. Well, like it almost reminds me of couching. Like we're couching a bunch of split stitches. Oops. Alrighty, something like that. You can see I didn't cover all of it. You can if you want. I just don't know if you need to. And so then when we do in here, I don't know why my first stitch is right there, but there it is. I'm just gonna go up to that white to fill in the ear with black. And I guess I should get some guidelines printed on there to show how far to go with the black, huh? So I'm just gonna keep filling this in, as well as the black down here, so that I can show you guys better how to do the next layer. I'm thinking may as well show you the flowers and leaves. That leads to a discussion. What to do first. Oops. I had done so well. It wasn't bad for the first bonk. Okay. Let's do a change of gears and take a look at the flowers. Okay, so I'm gonna do this leaf. So for these ones, I did half the leaf with a back stitch fill. Although that doesn't look like a back stitch so far, does it? Oh my. So I decided to do the back stitch in rows, but if you would like, you could do whatever stitch direction you want. Just thought it was kind of an interesting texture. So I'm kind of staggering my intersections here, so we kind of get that brick look. So for these two-tone leaves, it's up to you, like, which side is which color. This is the slightly darker color, so I try to put it like on the shadow sides of the leaves. So the downside, I guess. So the tricky part is that right now, well, so like this is fur. This is supposed to be fur here. And these little tiny spots are going to be fur. So what do you do first? Do you do the leaves first or do you do the fur first? I don't know why this is just going to make me laugh every time I say it. So I thought we'll do a leaf. And then we'll do some fur, and then we'll do another leaf, and we'll see which worked out better. So for my sample hoop, I did the leaves on top first. For the ones like behind the head, that kind of go behind the head, I did them after, because I added them. But with those, you want them to be first, so you could do like the fur from the face kind of like overlapping. But for these, they're supposed to be in front, right? So we don't want any fur overlapping these leaves, or it'll look like they're getting like absorbed into the raccoon. So like I said, so I did them first. and then did the fur, but I found that they kind of still sank. You can see the back stitch kind of deteriorates as you get towards the edge, right? Just like me, let's just fill the guidelines. We're just creating some texture. All right, and so then on the other side we do a satin stitch with like a angle like that. Yeah, okay, so I keep losing my train of thought, y'all. So I found that I had to go back and fix some of my leaves. I actually like went back and even added an extra layer on them, like at the edges, so that they stood out more. So you could do it like that, like as needed, add more layers, come back. Because really probably the best thing to do would have these be like padded, which is basically the same thing, right? It's like when you come back and add more layers, you are now padding it, right? Your original layer is the padding. So then physically, the leaves are above the fur. So if we do the fur first, well, we'll see. We're going to try it, right? I think that'll also work. And I think that's especially a good thing to do, like, because the stem, we can do the stem on top of the fur. That's easy, right? When I think about it, I guess my thought is like when I do the fur, like where am I doing the fur right up to that guideline, or do I cover the guideline a little bit so that when I do the leaf, well, okay. So I was afraid to start filming because I was like, I'm gonna just start going off and it's not gonna be time to talk about it yet. So we'll figure it out when we get there. Okay, so here I'm doing these leaves, and these are just satin stitched leaves. You can see like this leaf is in front of this leaf, so I would want to do this one first. So of course, though, I'm doing this current leaf behind the first leaf. It's weird, like I have the rule to do the thing in front first for some things, but not for other things. And I don't know how much of it is based in like fact or reality, or in just some of it's just like habit or fear. I'm not really sure. Okay, so here I'm just using my thread as my guideline as far as my stitch direction. The stitch direction on these is just length, along the length of the leaf. All right, so what I'm trying to say, as far as like, what do you stitch first? I say try it all and see what works best for you, and don't be afraid to like change your mind. Because it could be like, oh, you know what? For stuff that's like this, it makes sense to do the thing on top first. But for things like this, it makes sense to do the thing on the bottom first. And like in a year, if you were to reassess, you might change your mind again, you know? So keep an open mind. And I'm all for like experimenting, like having a sketch pad, but it's like a hoop with fabric, your sketch hoop, to dry stuff. Or with a design like this, we have a bunch of opportunities. We have lots of leaves and lots of fur that we're stitching over. So pick some to do first and some to do second, and see what ends up looking best. So here I'm even like going against my other rule. Remember I was talking about how I like to go like down when I was talking about the nose. And here I've been coming up next to the leaf, although I mean, this does not look great, especially right here. I definitely have like a little hole there. Now we're obviously very, very close. Will people notice that? Probably not. All right, so I'm just gonna split this here. So we're gonna leave room for the next leaf. This guy. So it'll be interesting to see how that turns out. Oh, look at this big hole. I need another stitch in here. Okay, that works. That's a satin stitch leaf. So on top of that, we're doing this wheat ear vein. Let's see, I did get some of that thread ready for myself. So I'm just using a single ply to do that. Now, if this is confusing or it looks weird or you're just not into it, you can skip it entirely, or you can do some other stitch. You can just do straight stitches. You could do like a Cretan stitch would look cool. You could do like an open fishbone on top. You can do whatever you want. Let's see. This is probably not the best one. Well, I guess it's okay to demo one. So it's a little tricky because part of the leaf is covered, but we start with a straight stitch. So usually it would be something like this, right? But we don't want it to cover our little leaf. So we're going to fake it. We're going to go down here. And then we're going to pretend like it popped up on this side. So there's our straight stitch. And then we do a detached chain stitch. So when you come up through all this pretty heavy satin stitch, I highly recommend that you pierce at least, like, don't go in between stitches. So here's what it looks like in between stitches. No, I pierced something. If you go in between stitches, you're going to see like a furrow, like you're going to see it split. And we don't want that. We want this to look like it's on top, not like within the leaf. So if you can actually split a strand of thread, that's going to keep it the most stable. Just try your best. So I'm doing a reverse detached chain stitch. So this is like my anchor, this original straight stitch. So this is super tricky, right? So I'm going under this single ply and trying not to stab that dark green satin stitch. I may or may not have accomplished that. I cannot see well enough. And I want to be really relaxed with the tension here. If I pull, it's gonna kind of mess up everything. So just real gentle like that. Okay. So gentle you have to whisper. And then I do some straight stitches, one down each side. I'm just going really slow and gentle. And I go down the same hole. Nice and gentle. Just like a little love tap. No bear hugs here. Just gentle. Okay. So you can see I am getting a little bit of a bump there just from all this thread that's hanging out now, which is fine. We just do the best we can. Excuse me. All right, so now I do the next one. So it's only the first one that we do this center straight stitch. So for all the other ones, we just use the previous stitch as our anchor. So I'm going to come up. You can see I split that little strand there. And I am going to weave under. So this is, again, super hard to get under here. So I'm pushing up from the back to kind of hopefully make it easier. So it looks like I got a tiny bit of something there, a little bit of green something. Alright, I didn't get it that time, I don't think. Alright, so I went under the 2 straight stitches and our reverse detached chain stitch. There is like only a 50% chance I was going to say that right. Alright, back down. Alright, it looks like I snagged a little something here. Which is why I'm having a little resistance. But it looks like it's going to be okay. And then we do our other stitches on the side. I would not do this until like the end. By the way, wait until all your other stitching is done to add these details on top. Like that. So with on the sample hoop, I stopped there randomly. If you want to keep going, you can. I will, just to demo another one. You're probably watching and like, oh my, I'm not doing that. You don't have to do it. So we can stop there. We could add whatever. I mean, you stop where you want to stop. It's up to you what you want it to look like. So, ta-da. Okay. Now, let's see. Since we're here and we're all close, let's take a look at filling with some fur down here. So, again, I did not make my knots big enough, huh? One thought I did have, so what I did is I did a base layer of this gray, and then I did use a single ply of the black on top to create the like two-toned fur on the body. If you want, you might want to try, instead of using 2 strands of the gray, you could always try using a strand of gray and a strand of black on your needle to fill, you know, the area that's a little darker under the chin, the center line of the body. And then not even doing that, not even worrying about the black on top, could save you some time. I probably just should have demoed that, but we will see. Okay. Excuse me. So here, I'm trying to stay away from the leaf too much. So you definitely, if you're going to do it this method where you get up close to the leaves, make sure you get up close to the leaves. Like, don't leave a gap. And you may even want to have a little overlap because it'll be easy to cover, right, with our greens. And just go on top of the fur. But you can see how we're creating like a physical like bump here, right, compared to here. And these are going to be like the same height. So, like I was saying before, like it does kind of make sense to do like almost a double layer of these, or if that sounds really silly to you, you could just use like more strands of thread. So I was using 2 ply for both of those. Maybe bump up to 3 or even 4. So either way, there are some tight areas to fill, clearly. If you like, another option that has its pros and cons is to just, I don't know if anyone would actually want to do this, but I was going to say just fill in the, what is this? Raccoon. I keep calling it a panda, like in my head. I mean, yeah, I know, trash panda, but, yeah. Yeah, so you could just fill in the whole thing, but then you'd have to kind of, not fake, but, you wouldn't have your guidelines anymore to tell you where exactly the leaves go. But if you're fine with kind of doing that how you want, so you can see this is already getting lost, huh? Here I'm kind of cheating, like, could we put in 2 stitches here? Yes. Turned, like when you have a really small section and you're doing long and short fill, it turns into satin stitch if you only have one color. Oops. Okay, I'm out of my gray for now. So, I feel like that's probably enough just to demo this. So, as far as doing that second layer, it would be like literally like I'm coming in. Whoops, I'm stuck on something. Am I? Or am I just out of thread? Who are you? What's going on? Alright, well, just, is this, oh, this is not even the right color. Okay, excuse me, my apologies. I don't know what this is. I grabbed the wrong needle. Too many needles parked around. It's like, it's nice to be able to just keep filming without cutting, but, like, this is not the right color either. Okay, we're doing the right side first. So if you want to do this to kind of accentuate those back stitches on the edge, you can see I am literally just covering the edge back stitches, like I just said. Or you can do the whole thing. But this helps this small leaf stand out more on top of that larger leaf. Or if you were overlapping fur on this side, it'd be the same method. So I'm just doubling up. And again, you can double up on all of them. Like you can refill the entire shape, or just go over the stitches on the edge. Like I think of it as like when you're drawing and you just want to do like a bold outline around whatever you drew to make it stand out more. Like that. Okay, let me grab my other color. Got all tangly here. All tingly. Okay. So for the satin stitch, you can't exactly just do the edge. You have to redo the whole thing. So do something like this on top. And you can kind of come up through the fur even to make it more dynamic, I guess. And I'm not pulling super hard, so I'm making more dimension that way. And doing the overlap will help too if you like if you didn't come all the way up to the leaf with your gray and you had any fabric showing through, this will obviously cover that. Okay, so that's the option of doing like the double layer of leaf. Versus over here, if I do the fur first and then the leaf on top, maybe it'll look just the same. And then it's like, well, it's probably less work doing it this way, right? Oops. Looks pretty good. I think it looks better than doing the leaf first and then not doing a layer on top. So like what this looked like before I just came in and redid that. See, this will take a minute to fill, huh? I'm gonna cheat and just like do some back stitch down the side just so we can see what it looks like. It's gonna sink a little bit more. So yeah, this gets a little lost still under here because obviously back stitch is going to be more flush with the fabric than this split stitch. So I would either do it this way, or again, we could switch and do like 4-ply if you wanted to make it stand out more. Or maybe you just don't worry about it and you just stitch it and it's like it looks like how it looks. If that's where you're at, that's cool too. You're like, why are we overthinking this, Jessica? Can we just stitch and have fun? Hey, I'm back and I have done some more stitching and it's a different day. And let's see what we can do here. So I filled in some so you can kind of see how I'm going to do this blending. So we've done our kind of base layer where I've just been using long and short stitch to kind of fill these different color patches, and now I'm going to blend them together. So let's start with the gray color. Most of what we're doing here that's fun is with the gray. So I am just gonna come up and start blending between these sections by adding basically just straight stitches that kind of overlap both sections. And I guess you could think of it as like, well, I think a lot of thread painting is just straight stitches, just placed in the right place. Although what these straight stitches are splitting stitches, right? So maybe they're not straight stitches. Don't worry about it too much. I start overthinking like what the names, the exact thing I'm doing. Doesn't matter. We're just doing some blending. That's kind of it. So let's see, the reference photo I was using had like, there was like extra gray here, and then down here there wasn't quite as much blending between the two colors, so I just did like smaller stitches. But it's kind of up to you, like if you want to look at a photo of a specific raccoon and use that as your guide, or you could just use my sample as a guide. It's, I mean, you can add as many or few. Is it few or, yeah, few. I was like thinking about the memes with the fewer or the less. I am currently experiencing some intense allergies thanks to all of the pollen. So my brain is, well, it's kind of here. Well, hopefully I can still teach. Okay, so like right between here and here, this is just, there's no blending here, right? Because this is nose, goes straight to the white fur, or very, very light gray. So we have blending here. We have blending along this edge. So again, right here, it seemed like on my my model Raccoon, we had kind of more gray showing here, and then it kind of, I go to like shorter stitches, and then down here I went to longer stitches again, which you should be able to see in the photo and also the diagrams in your instructions. But that's all I'm doing to blend between these. While I'm right here, I'm going to go ahead and do the outline on the eye. So you should be able to kind of see it, that guideline still, because there's a difference in stitch direction. I can see my stitches here, and then here they're obviously different stitch direction. Also, it looks like I didn't stitch right up to the eye, so there's a little bit of gaps there, and now we get to cover those. And it's up to you how much outlining you want to do. Oh, that was bad. It was a very dramatic stitch, but we're gonna fix it. So I'm actually gonna grab that stitch and pull it down back to where it should be. Ta-da! Mostly worked, right? Okay, so you can go on that side. If you want to do some on the top too, you can. And if you need to, I feel like I need to come back in and fill some spots here, and we are going to do that, so don't worry. Yeah, well, I'll just stop there with that. So, okay, let's see. I still have my gray. So what you're also going to do with your gray is come up here, and we have these kind of long, fun, slightly wild hairs that overlap up into the ear. So you can do as many or few of those as you want on top here. etc. And then also I had some kind of up here to add a little bit of dimension, to kind of look like the back of the ear. But you know what? I don't know if you need these or not. Feel free to add them. It's probably easier and makes more sense visually to just do these ones, to be perfectly honest. But of course, well, oops, you're not supposed to see that I didn't fix all my nails. I was like, should I redo my nails? I'm just gonna have to take the nail polish off because I'm like leaving and I don't want to have to worry about doing my nails while I'm gone. I'll just try to cover up. That's the laziest way I could. I only did like my thumbs and first fingers. Because I was like, I don't think I ever show my other fingers. I guess I do. All right, so that's what we're doing with the gray. So, similarly, when you do the tail, you're going to add the gray highlights or shadows, depending on what color we're on. Let's see, should we do the black or the white? Let's do the black. Okay, so here's my black. So with the black, I'm going to come in, and one thing you'll want to do is check and see if there's any gaps like we talked about. So I can come in here with my single black and like fix anything that needs to be fixed. Oops. Fill in any holes. We'll just like cover this to kind of correct that shape. All right, and then if there's any like, I don't think we need to come in here because basically, you know, using the gray, we're going to be kind of detailing that edge. But where we really want to use our black here is going to be up here. So we are going to blend between the black going up the nose and the gray head. And if you look at a raccoon, I mean, this is obviously a simplified version of what a raccoon looks like, right? They have so many different colors, so many different shades of gray, and there's even like brown in there, and it's, you know, I haven't seen the hair like up close that I can think of, but I have a feeling that each hair may have different colors in it, you know, kind of, I'm trying to think what other animals have that, where there's actually stripes in each hair, like that, or maybe it's like what we go to the salon for, right? Like it's darker at one end and lighter at the other end of each strand. Because it looks like maybe the tips are lighter color. I don't I don't know the specifics, but what I'm trying to say is it's kind of up to you how much you want to do with this black on this gray. Because maybe your raccoon, you know, is a darker color, maybe it's more multicolored. And it looks, like when I look at pictures of them, it's like different parts of their body have different amounts of blending between the colors, etc., etc. Anyways, it can be, you can make it as complicated or as simple as you want, once again. So, as I go away from the nose, I'm doing fewer of these stitches. I'm doing shorter stitches and kind of doing like a fade as I go away, right? something like that. All right. So then before we move on, because we're going to do some of that on the body too, I'm going to pull out the white, because what I do want to do, so we'll pretend like, you know, we do have our gray all along here, okay? But on this edge, I do want to smooth this edge out, and you can use gray or white to do it. So I'm going to use white, since we haven't done much with the white, to just kind of come in here if needed. I mean, maybe you did a really wonderful job when you actually were filling in originally on that base layer, but I'm just going to add a couple of little strands here to help blend a little bit, to fill in any gaps I might see, like what's this big gap, you know. So that's what I'm doing with this. And one thing I wanted to add actually was that, you know, if you have like a younger raccoon, usually they have that like more fluffy baby fur, and so their fur is going to look a little bit longer, like the individual strands, and maybe a little bit more disheveled, so not quite so perfectly aligned with our stitch direction. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense there. In addition, we can come up and on the tips of our ears, we can add a little bit of single strands. More details here. Yeah, okay. And then also, while I have my white, if you want to add little eye highlights, you can. If these look too harsh to you, you can definitely do them with the gray instead. So just a little line is usually what I do. Or you can look at photos online of like eye highlights. Some people do multiple stitches, or you know, whatever we're looking at, if you're looking at a painting or whatever. And then same with the nose. They have pretty shiny noses, so you can add one on the nose. All right, let's take a look here and see if we can see. So what, just to recap, what we've done is, as far as this detail layer, we did our single stitches here, right, of the gray to blend, and then what did we do after that? We came over here, I think, right? Oh no, we did the eye. So here's the eye outlines. So I did the outline on the bottom, and then I actually like how that turned out, the single little one here. I think that's pretty cute. So up to you how much, if you want to outline the whole thing, if you want to leave the gaps like I did, if you just want to do the outer edge. Okay, and so then I did these stitches. So you can see these ones are kind of like a longer and a little bit more wild, right? And then the detail inside the ear. After that, we moved to black, where we did some blending here. And then the white was, let's see, I started here, right? You can see those little kind of finer ones I added, those little finer strands, and then highlights and details on the ears. Cool. Okay, I think that covers it. I'll just talk about the body real quick. So one thing I was thinking was, since we are doing a body that's like black and gray, I was going to suggest to get a black and gray thread on your needle, and you could always use that to fill in the fur. Now, I don't know what it's going to look like. I haven't done it yet, so I thought we could do it together, just you know, so then you'll see if it's something you want to do or not. So when I was looking at pictures, the one I was looking at, it looked like the darker fur was like towards the center of the body, and then as you got like further out, like the edges were lighter. So maybe you do something like this, like at the center, like I'm doing, and then when you move out, just do the gray. Up to you. All optional. So yeah, this would definitely save you some time, it looks like, huh? Versus doing a layer of gray and then doing the black on top. Looks pretty good. I like that it's because I think the hardest part about coming in with the black is making it look random, but not too random, you know. And this does the randomization for you. It's a lot darker. Is it a lot darker? Let me see. Yeah, it looks a little darker than what I did on my sample, which is totally fine. I like it. I want to come over here with it so I can show you how to blend into it. So I did my my hoop a different way on my clamp. I have it upside down compared to how I usually have it. And I don't know why. I mean, I haven't had it like this before just because of the way my clamp is set up. Like, it's not designed really to be rotated at this angle. And so I had to put it on the other side of my table and blah, 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 whatever. It wasn't an intuitive thing to do. But I actually prefer it. So I'm kind of kicking myself that it took me this long to figure that out. I'm not like running into my little knobs and whatnot. Okay, where are we? All right, so here with the black. So if we don't do this, instead we would be doing like what we did up here. Okay, so this kind of thing. Don't pierce the light color. So just something like this. And if we want to fade into it to kind of blend. Something like that. And if you want, I mean, you could even use this up here as like an in-between blending section. Up to you. Lots of ways to do it. All right. So that was doing this here. You can see here I'm kind of exaggerating, going from dark to light. Can't really tell here as much that that's even what I was trying to do, but that's what I was trying to do. So yeah, if you want, I mean, you could actually do the entire body with the single strand of gray plus single strand of black, and then you'd be done. That's probably the easiest way to do it, to be honest. And then possibly just add like a tiny bit of just gray on the edges if you even care about that look. Again, up to you. All right, so before we totally forget, I haven't demoed the flowers. Let's do some French knots really quick. So it's up to you if you want. I use the lighter pink. You can use whatever. And you can make as many or as few of these as you want. I just did them in little clumps. So single wrap is the easiest. So I come up, I do a single wrap on my needle. I place my needle back down. I go near where I want, where I came out. I try to kind of straddle wherever I want the knot to actually be.
And then here's the key. Pull, like very gently, down with the wrap so that it is touching the fabric. And then we pull through. Oops. Good friends. Alrighty, do it again. So we have, I'll show you that little straddle thingy. So if I want my knot to be right there, I wouldn't, right, because it's right on the leaf, but just for demonstration purposes. So I'm coming up on one side of the knot, or excuse me, the dot, and then go down on the other side. And there we go. And you can do multiple wraps if you want. You can make them loose, you can make them tight. Totally up to you. You can use the darker pink, you can use the greens. You can do 100 French knots. You can do 0. All right, moving on to our flower. Let's see. I used the dark color. Looks like 2-ply. We'll do this one, I guess. It's just a satin stitch, right? So, like I did satin before, I like to do my center stitch first, and then choose a way to go, right or left. Oops, what's that weird gap for? I don't know. Let's see, I can't remember if I did, oh yeah, looks like I did some compensation here. So I did that. So basically this stitch direction kind of changes as you go around, right? It's like radial, which means that I have to alter it a little bit over here. So I do that by kind of faking some stitches. So instead of coming straight down, if I come straight down and continue to do that, my stitch direction is just gonna stay like this, right? Which is totally fine. You can do it like that. But because I want it to kind of angle over time, I need to kind of start training my stitch direction. So instead of going all the way down, I'm gonna come down like here. And then for my next stitch, I'll go down into, I'm like sharing a hole with this other stitch, and then I'll do something like that again. Not coming all the way down. And coming all the way down. I can see if I keep doing this, the angle is slowly changing. And I'm really being loose with that tension. I think, oh yeah. So I don't know if you can see my thread. See how it has these kinks in it? That's because this thread was on bobbins. I don't know how long. Some of my thread was like gifted to me. And so it has these kinks in it. If you're doing satin stitch with thread that's kinked like this, it adds an extra layer of challenge. Lucky you. So I know some people flat out, like, they will iron their floss before doing satin stitch. Because here's the kink right there from the bobbin. I'm hoping we'll just be able to work with it. Like, we're going to work with this random black thread. Hi again. Almost made it. So with the flowers, same kind of situation as with the leaves. Like, do you want to do the flowers before you do the fur? Or do you want to do the fur up to the flower and then do the flower? I don't know. It's always hard to answer. Like, I can't tell you because I'm not sure. So now I'm doing the left side. Oops. If you'd like, you could do these petals padded satin stitch, and you can actually outline the petal first and then cover those outlines when you do your satin stitching to make them stand out more. That's probably what I would do if I was to redo the whole thing, is just to do padding. Well, I don't know, perhaps I would do padding for the flowers, but I think for the leaves I would just use more strands of thread just to save some time. Ooh, I'm ready for a nap, y'all. We had some rain, and now we actually have some green stuff growing in the desert, and it's beautiful, but wow. My body does not like it. There's that big hole. We'll see if we need to worry about that or not. Also, this dent's annoying, huh? Oh, there. Fixed it. Alrighty, so continue doing petals like that. I feel like this hole needs to be filled in. So I'm gonna come in, I'm gonna like sneak down here. Something like that. Okay, and then to do the little details on top, you just come in with a single strand of your lighter color. And kind of like when we did the wheat ear, or whatever you want to do for your veins here, same principles apply here. You just, best you can, when you come up, try to pierce an actual strand of floss, rather than coming up in between plies and separating them. You'll have a much smoother result. So you can add as many of these as you like. So for my other sample, I have a lot more. I did more as, treated it more like a highlight. Yeah, so however you like to do it, if you want it more stripey like this, or highlighty like this, or however. Okay, did we do everything? I think so. If you have any questions, please send me an email. That's going to be the best way to get a hold of me. I'm always happy to help, and I look forward to seeing what you create. Have fun.